Thank you for joining us on this December day. Hope everyone's having a great holiday season. My name is Shannon Logan, and I'm the Shared Services Manager here at GCFA. And we are proud today to be having on our webinar series a collaborative effort with our sister agency, United Methodist Communications, on connectional giving. And this webinar has been designed specifically for our annual conference staff to be able to go out and share with people throughout the connection on this important topic. We will have a lot of resources that we will send out to you. If you've registered for the webinar, we'll make sure that you get all of the resources mailed out to you tomorrow, and as well as also look for links to the resources in this month's Ministry Minute. And so we're very proud to be able to collaborate with our sister agency, United Methodist Communications, on this webinar. And we have the Director of Connectional Ministries actually here at the office at GCFA today with us, Elsie Cunningham, who, if you need to find anything on connectional giving, Elsie is the person that you would want to contact. She's glad to help. We'll also make sure Elsie's contact information is available out all of the resources that we send. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker today. Kenny Jahng is our speaker who has come here to talk on this topic. He's done a lot of work to prepare these resources for you, and Kenny can give more information about himself in just a moment. But we're very proud that you came to Nashville to do this webinar for us today, and we're very appreciative, and we welcome you. Thank you.
Glad to be here. Welcome, everybody. First, before we begin, I heard that there's a good presentation of annual conferences across the country. So if you just hop on live chat, we're going to make it a little bit interactive today, and just let us know in live chat in this webinar where you're chiming in from, what conference you are representing, and what city and state that you are actually dialing in from today. That would be great. Today, we're going to share with you a bunch of resources that have come out of a collaborative effort between United Methodist Communications Agency and the GCFA agency. And all resources that we are going to expose to you here today have been provided by the Connectional Giving team at UMCom. It's exciting to actually share all this, because every time we do it with a new group of church leaders, they get excited to see the high quality and the depth of what's available for you today. Before we begin, just a little bit about me. I've been working with United Methodist churches across the country for a while, United Methodist Communications in particular, for the last 2 years. I also am a local pastor in the state of New Jersey. For 5 years, I've helped grow a digital ministry in the state of New Jersey, working with social media, online PR, church online, and et cetera. Today, what I really am excited about is empowering you to help your local churches really take advantage of what we have available in terms of digital media to educate, to inspire, and to really help advocates in local churches for all the work that you are doing as treasurers. And so the banner campaign that we're going to expose today is called Together We Do More. It is a collection of connectional giving resources that are meant to be training for pastors, also really positioned as done-for-you resources, both digital and print, so that the local ministry, many times they don't have, frankly, with the time, they also don't have the budget, and sometimes they don't have the talent or skill sets to produce such high-quality materials. And so under this Together We Do More campaign, we're hoping that you are able to see the value of empowering the local church pastors and their leaders in the local ministry to be able to use this to further the conversation. For this campaign is really to spark conversations and inspire the people at the local level, the pew sitters. I want people to really look at giving, generosity, in new way that makes sense to them, not from a guilt-based or an obligatory way, but from a grace-based foundation that really opens up and flourishes their faith life once they understand that giving can be a part of their spiritual discipline. So connectional giving is one of those clear, distinctive advantages, I think, that the United Methodist Church denomination has as baked into who the Methodists are as a congregation, as a people, et cetera. And so today we're just going to walk through all the training materials that we've provided and produced, the digital resources that you as treasurers should be able to take and build training workshops for your local leaders. So before we move on, this first live chat question, if you would just, we've got people from New Jersey to Oregon, Idaho. It's great to see you guys. If you guys would chime into the live chat and just let us know, what is, from your perspective, what the word generosity and giving, what does that mean? If you were going to create a tagline, or if you were going to say it in one phrase to somebody, if someone asked you in an elevator, what do you mean by generosity or giving? We have so many different answers and so many different ideas. It'd be great for you to chime in and just give us, there's no right or wrong answer, and if you would just chime in the live chat and drop that thought in, that would be great to share so that we can see what people from across the country are thinking about this. So, before we move on, there's a video that we're going to actually see an overview of all the resources that are available in this Together We Do More campaign. So as we watch this video, it's about a minute and a half. Just chime in the live chat with that question, please.
It takes more than one person's generosity to change our world. It takes all of us. Together we do more. Together we fund hundreds of United Methodist ministries every year. Together we bless the local church and the world in sustainable, strategic ways. Together, our generosity enables the United Methodist Church to extend Christ's love. Our team at UMC Giving want to help you strengthen your congregation's generosity efforts through connectional giving, special Sundays, and other outlets for local passion. We created some ready-to-use resources for you to download and use. Things like offering scripts, sermon illustration helpers, an end-of-year giving planning guide, a library of generosity videos, professionally designed social media graphics, and more. We want you to have everything you need to prepare and lead your congregation so that a culture of generosity can thrive at the heart of your United Methodist community. All of these resources are free and are available now at www.umcgiving.org/togetherwedomore. Explore all of it online and get equipped today, because together we do more.
So that's a nice little overview that you guys can use with local congregations in meetings or in emails, etc. But today we were trying to pose that question of, why do we call it connectional giving? Again, connectionalism, this one concept, this one core piece of the United Methodist life and the ecosystem that really is a distinctive that I don't think that the local churches are really taking advantage of in providing differentiation and educating the pew sitters in their local churches of how to bring out generosity and giving as a part of their faith life. So we think that connectionalism allows you to harness the power of many across the entire denomination to help us focus, change the world. Two examples for connectional giving, right? A lot of these examples. Black College Fund is an example to talk about. We're able to support and empower many more students out there in the world that are trying to get an education, when thousands of churches pool resources and help provide scholarships to those that are in need. UMCor itself is obviously a great example of connectionalism in action across our denomination, where our disaster relief agency is able to literally be the helping hand of Jesus, and they are incredibly responsive in times of disaster. You all have seen it. Many people across our denomination see it, but sometimes connect the action and the output of UMCor with how that happens with the connectionalism and the giving that supports, provides the vibrancy of agency. And so hopefully some of these resources will help you really teach the pastors so they can, in their own congregations, educate the people to understand how UMCor comes about, how these connectional giving funds and programs come about, and that it's because of that, because of all of us coming together with our generosity and giving, that really sets the UMC church apart. So a couple things, obviously, empathetically, you have to think of it from your customer's point of view, your audience, right? So we're thinking, why is this important to pastors? Things that we find is that they are vocalizing to us that they want training, that they understand that they might not be well equipped in certain areas, and so they need training. We know that pastors are time-starved, and they need resource support. They want help. They're raising their hands for the help, and this is where you as annual conference treasurers and staff are able to really be the buoy for them in their ministry in this area. They need resources not just for themselves, but for their congregation. Pastors are really looking to this group, the conference treasurers, to lead them in certain aspects. And this is a great opportunity. It's a natural fit, and it's someplace where you don't need to fight through the clear. They are already looking for you to lead them in that area. So why is it important to the actual churches that they lead? Well, I think that our connectional giving shows the beauty of our denomination, as I said. That connectionalism is a concept that I think that you have the opportunity to see on. If it was up to me, I would say that connectionalism is really something like the theme of 2017. You can go forward in your training and really go deep and really help people understand the opportunity that there is to steward that concept in their teaching and preaching in their local congregation. So why? It's because there's three things, right? The connectional giving efforts that we have allows that local church to reach local and regional, national efforts, as well as global. Again, this is a distinctive that isn't available in many other churches. Your local independent, non-denominational church, many other smaller denominations, the heft, the size, the actual ecosystem that the UMC provides is real distinctive. And this last one I think is really important to engage the local pastor in your teaching, is that when you are looking at finances, people tend to compartmentalize money. But yet, this is a real important thing to connect the dots in terms of becoming a missional outlet and perspective for local church to engage with the region, the nation, and the global efforts out there. I think those are three important ways that you can look at how it makes sense to the local church. So to do a really run through of all the digital media resources that we've provided. We've got worship resources. We've produced a bunch of videos, a series of social media resources, as well as ebooks for you. So I'm going to spend some time walk through all of those just to give a really quick overview. They are available on the website, and after the webinar, the links will go out to the download pages. It really takes a lot of time to actually go through all the things that we've produced. So I'm going to do it at a top level. Then chime in with questions in the chat if you'd like. And then we're going to go through 6 specific ways that you as the treasurers can actually utilize these resources to in a fashion of training and workshopping with local pastors when you are building those programs or you're out meeting with the local congregations. Okay, so how does that sound? So let's see, slide. For this live chat question, we're going to ask one question. This is the thing that we ask wherever we go, is of those 4 categories, we really want your feedback. What, from your perspective, is the most valuable category of resource if we were to invest more energy into producing them? Would it be worship-related resources like sermons and offerings and things about the liturgy? Is it social media? Is it videos? Is it ebooks and tutorials and things of that nature? Which of those 4 categories is the most resource value that you want to be able to use as a treasurer when you go off and train local pastors? You can chime into the chat. I see it says videos. That's definitely something we've invested heavily in this year. We're going to continue to do that as we go forward. But we'd love your feedback if you could just chime in. Again, it's worship resources, social media, images, graphics, media assets for social media, whether it's actual videos, training, or otherwise, explainer videos. Last one is ebooks or reports or tutorials. Okay, so we're going to go through this review. First, in that download kit that's available on umcgiving.org, that whole page has a whole slew of resources. The first category is called worship resources. And what I mean by worship resources is things that are going to help you assemble your Sunday morning service. We provided a lot of detailed and really rich resources for you. First, we have PowerPoint presentations that you can use if you have an overhead projector during your Sunday service to use for them. We have bulletin inserts. We've got slides that you can use during the offering time. But more, we actually go a little bit deeper. One thing that we've heard from pastors is that they like actual sermon illustration, sermon starters. We've provided a whole category of sermon illustration documents that actually go through vignettes of each one. And we've also created offering scripts. So the impact PowerPoints that you'll see on the actual website is for that purpose. It's for you to display during your Sunday worship services. It's made that in mind. It's contextualized for you to use on Sunday morning. We've got a bunch of offering talks. These are talks that are meant to be during the 5 to 6 or 7 minutes you do passing around the plate during the Sunday morning. One of the most ignored 5 minutes of a Sunday morning is that time, and we believe that it is one of the most strategic couple that you could use to set up, to teach, and inspire. And so what we've done is we've actually produced offering talks that have actual manuscript that you can read, a full manuscript that goes for a couple minutes with a biblical passage and connects the dots, and it actually shares some examples and prompts people to give generously. We have an abbreviated version, as well as even a bullet-pointed version of each of these offering talks. So you, depending on your style, and depending on who in your congregation actually is up during the announcement time or during right before you pass the plate, depending on our own style, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the local church to accommodate what they have in place and use resources to infuse some inspiration and teaching. Next one is actual slides. So one of the things that we've found is that people have an offering time, but they don't connect the dots visually. They don't connect the dots further than just making an announcement, and it's just a routine passing of the offering plate. So we've created professionally designed graphic resources that you can download and use during your offering time. Next one is sermon illustrations. These are fully built-out sermons that you can take, download, and actually modify, personalize it just a little bit, or use as is. These sermon illustrations are written with theological basis that really taps into the biblical stories and the themes around generosity, around giving. It actually is something that I think is eye-opening to many pastors, because a lot of times pastors only preach once a year, once every other year on money or giving, and yet they don't understand that there's so many different opportunities in the Bible to talk about it where it's not guilt-ridden or you're just have an obligatory message for people to give. These are fantastic, rich, and dynamic stories that the local pastor then can be inspired to take a different lens at other biblical passages and weave in those themes of generosity and giving. The category is ebooks. We've produced a whole slew of ebooks this past couple years. Just three of them that I'll highlight here is there's one that specifically talks about the apportioned funds. Another one that talks about the theology of giving and how apportionments come about. And there's even one that it's appropriate for this season. It's an actual end-of-year giving playbook. So if you have a Christmas offering at your church, or if you've never done one before, this is a great resource to download. It's got everything from pre-written emails to calendars for editorial content of what you should be posting to social media, what you should be sending out to your congregation, what you should be talking about on Sundays. It has idea starters. It has lists and checklists. This is a great resource for any church that actually does a Christmas offering or has never done a large Christmas offering for a cause. One of the things that we say here is that every church should have a cause. You should have a place for your people to inspire and do something that's greater than just the building and the seats that they're sitting in, doing something to change the world. And the end-of-year giving playbook, I think, is a really good and rich resource for everybody to take a look at if you've never done it before. Next category is social. Obviously, there's plethora of resources out there. What we found is there weren't that many UMC branded and themed resources that contextualize to our communities. And so we went ahead and provided inspirational quotes, scriptures, and other types of content that are available for you to download, both in static images and, as you know, this whole world is going video, video, video. We started to produce video resources for you to post across your social media. Again, these are all resources that are meant to be done for you. Just simply go to the download page, you save them to your local computer, and then you can upload and or publish them to your actual church accounts. And that's something that the local pastors, I think, will look to treasurers if you are making this available to them. They say, honestly, it's a harder to that whenever we see a local pastor come across this type of resource. You'll see on the download page, there's a whole preview section of the different types of beautifully themed images that we have made available for social media. A big category is videos. As we've heard from many congregations, they don't have the resources and the video producers or access to even budgets to produce videos. And we've produced a series of 11 or 12 videos here that go through a spectrum of issues across the topic of giving. And so this is one of the sections I think that hopefully you'll be most excited about sharing with the local church and the local pastor. Again, on the website, you'll see there's a place to print it. It makes it easy if the webmaster of a local church wants to embed into their church website. We've given the code. They can just copy and paste it to their own website, and it's not complicated at all. You can download and use them as you wish, and we're going to be talking about how to do that in the future as well. So this is the live question, live chat. If you would just chime in, one of the big questions that we have here is, are churches looking to you for resources whenever you come across meetings with them? What are some of the questions they're posing? We'd love to hear from you. When looking for resources, when they're looking for help, when they're looking for ideas, what are some of the areas or topics that they're asking you as treasurers to help them with? Because the more we learn about what those needs are, the more that we can help produce resources. So if you'd like to hop it, that would be great. Sue, planned giving, that's a great topic that I think that we are looking to tackle in the very near future. It's definitely something most churches ignore, but planned giving is something that is a huge opportunity for everybody involved. So we're going to go through some videos. Like I said, we have produced about a dozen videos across different themes, generosity videos. Each one on the website you'll see has a little summary and talks about a different aspect of giving as it relates to the United Methodist Church. Perfect for teaching and workshops, etc. There's a video specifically dedicated to apportioned fund giving. Explain that on a very high level, because most of the pew sitters in the local churches don't understand that. Many of the local church pastors, if you're given the opportunity, actually don't have the words to say the talking points or understanding how to say it eloquently, easily, if you were supposed to ask them what questions about apportioned giving. So here's one video to give you an example of the type of explain videos that we've produced that are, I think, appropriate for many different settings, whether it's Sunday morning, whether it's in a small group, whether it's a leadership training, or even email or social media.
Today, the pressing needs of a broken world. What pastor, what local congregation hasn't wished to serve more, love more, and bring healing to more people? The need can be overwhelming, but you are not alone. You're part of the United Methodist Church, and your giving is already doing more than you know. How? Let's keep it simple. On average, 85% of every dollar given in your local congregation stays right there in your local church. Additional 7% supports vital ministries close to home through annual conferences and districts. Approximately 6% of all gifts goes to second-mile giving, such as special Sunday offerings and the advance. And only 2% of every dollar supports our apportioned funds. But when we are united, we can do more. Together, through educational ministries like the Africa University Fund, we're equipping leaders so they can serve more. Together, we're building new churches and undergirding a worldwide network of missionaries so they can focus on loving more through our World Service Fund. Together, we promote unity across denominations to give you a presence and a voice in several national and worldwide ecumenical organizations through the Interdenominational Cooperation Fund. Yes, your generous giving does all that and much more. Together, we serve more, love more, and connect more. That's the power of Connectional giving. Together, we do more. Visit www.umcgiving.org today.
One of the overview videos, as you can see, it's something that's simple and easy. You can actually, I think, introduce that topic of how the UMC works to high school groups or college or young adults, because it is something that they should start to understand. As one of the here, talking about transparency is such a big deal, especially with the younger generations, and not afraid to talk about it in a very objective way without being defensive really is something that we want to empower you to help local pastors get to that point. So the next one is World Service Fund. There's something specifically about the World Service Fund I think is brilliant. It actually shows the flourishing of this church in many ways that people haven't thought about. That's a great video. There's another video that we talk about, second mile giving, a concept that Methodists, maybe older generations understand, but the younger ones don't really understand what that is. And so this is a video that we put together to help share the concept and further the education. So we're going to play this one little video about second giving. And as we play this, if you chime into the chat, just to let know, have you had any conversations about second mile giving? Is that something that ever comes up in your conversations and training with local churches? So you can put that in the chat as we play this video.
Helper, it's what you do. When you see a need arise, you respond. When tragedy strikes, you're there for the hurting. You wish you could reach out and do more, but no matter how much you may want to, you can't be everywhere there's a need. You simply can't do everything that needs to be done. But you believe someone should be there to extend the hand of God's love when people need help the most. As part of the United Methodist Church, your reach has been extended. That's what your designated gifts are all about. Neighbors extending a helping hand to neighbors across the street or around the world. Although these benevolent second mile gifts make up only a small percentage of the typical giving in a local congregation, they multiply your impact. How? Through church-wide special Sunday offerings. Extend your reach by focusing on 6 unique causes in the United Methodist Church. The advance empowers you to give with confidence, knowing the program or ministry that resonates with you will receive 100% of the funds you designate. Your reach expands when you support specific World Service special gifts approved by the United Methodist Connection Table to support educational ventures and promote social justice. And when typical methods of disaster response funding are inadequate, special appeals enable you to provide a healing and protective touch when God's children are threatened around the world. Through your United Methodist Church designated gifts, you can be there to help, reaching out to those in need, wherever they may be found. Because together, we do more.
So that's a short video on second mile giving. I just want to point out something that popped up in the chat earlier. Is a great concept from Patrick that talks about one of the needs that we need in education is really countering the individuality by investing in others. That's a great way to put it, Patrick. And then one right before, is it Cece? Finding joy in giving. Joy without guilt, joy and freedom. That's what we're going to get to. And so the point of educating people through these explainer videos about the transparency and about where the money goes and how it happens is that we're really trying to do with this program called Together We Do More. The next one is called The Great Mathematician. This is a great fun video that you can see on the website. Another one called What Happens When We Give. Again, it's in that vein of really helping to put it, not be shy and don't hide where the money goes, but really explain it in simple terms so that people have more confidence when they put their dollar into the offering plate. They understand where it specifically goes. It's a great, again, it's on the website. The next one is What God Wants You to Know. It's A nice video that I think can span different generations, your young adult ministry as well. That's something that we wanted to also provide, something that's able to be used in very different contexts within the church. And the video I'd like to show you is called Heroes. This one is really not aimed at the local pastor to show to the congregation. It's actually made for this group in particular, just like the annual conference treasurers, to be in training the local church communicator, the local church leader, the local pastor. We understand that talking about money makes pastors and church leaders a little bit nervous talking about it. I know that when I've been up in front of a congregation, all of a sudden you realize that sometimes you struggle about asking about finances or money, asking them to give. And so this is one of those videos that hopefully you'll appreciate, and I'd love to get your feedback on, that provides a framework for communicating giving and generosity. So let's take a look at this and tell me what you think after it.
Talking money can make some pastors and church leaders nervous. Have you ever struggled with asking your congregation to give, even for an indisputably worthy cause? What if instead of simply asking, you told a compelling giving story using these 6 proven steps? First, make the audience the heroes of your story. Frame the invitation to give as an opportunity for them to accomplish something great. Second, determine what your heroes really desire. Do they want to hug the hurting, feed hungry children, or reach a community in need of love? Identify what's holding them back from actually achieving what they want to do to help others. Distance, knowledge, a sense of hopelessness. Show how your giving opportunity solves their problem. By demonstrating how the offering empowers them to show God's love, you enable your audience to be the hero of your giving story. Fifth, give a clear call to action. Be specific about what steps your heroes must take to help. Finally, reinforce the good accomplished when they give and the reality of what will happen if they don't. Church leaders, no matter what discomfort you may feel asking for financial support, you can empower your congregation to do something heroic for God's work, simply by telling a more compelling giving story.
The video that hopefully you can see is a perfect workshop setup, right? As a conference treasurer, if you go out and train a bunch of pastors in a district or a conference, you can use this as one of the sessions to really help people come up with a sample giving story. You can do it in groups, you can do it solo and come back together. But this has been a worthy exercise because it gives pastors a framework to work from, right? Sometimes all you need is a little guidance, that outline or framework, and this is something that we've come up with that you will find to be with the pastors that you share it with. There's another one called Beacon of Hope that's in the kit. It's a great video that really talks about community and making the connection between the two concepts. The second half of the webinar, we're going to go through just 6 specific practical ways. One of the things that we've heard in terms of feedback for these webinars in particular is that you want to walk away with something that you can actually, an action item, not just in the sky, 10,000-foot view concepts, but real things that will spark some brainstorming that you can take, personalize, contextualize, and actually, hopefully, even start to think about what can you do in January, February with your local congregations in terms of training and resourcing them further. So the first one is using the 10 videos. So there's 10 videos in the series, right, to take with your small groups or staff, those groups, the people that are in charge of those groups in a particular church. So it might be a small group leader, it might be the executive pastor, it might be a youth group leader, etc. And help them understand how to walk through the topics. Each one of the 10 different videos has a different topic. So you can help them with sequencing or taking a subset and create a training meeting for their own staff or their own group. This is one of those things that I think, again, works best if you're collaborative and you have pastors talking to other pastors, really try to present their version of the agenda of their sample meeting and getting feedback, live feedback, and then working it through. I think that type of workshop with this type of content does wonders when you work together. The idea number two is talking about all our social media resources. One of the things that we found is that the local communicators and the pastors, they're time starved. Make time and prize meetings that help them get further along the way in their own agenda. So one of the things that we thought would be very helpful is for you to help schedule a meeting where they talk about what is important to share across all of their communications lines. Concepts and contents that they use to further educate their people through technology mediums, right? Not in-person meeting, but medium. Then take a look at the smattering of social media content that we have and map it to an actual editorial calendar. So this is another great workshop session where you have them bring the next 60 days or 90 days of their calendar, and they fit in to their calendar the events that are going to go on in their local church, whether it be specific things or seminars or Bible study groups, etc., and work around in real time to figure out a consistent thread of conversation that you would help them push on their social media channels, so giving and generosity is consistent across the board. So many times we find local churches ignoring or not prioritizing giving, and then when they actually have a need for people to come out and share their resources financially, they come up with one need, and that comes off really in a negative light, or it's off-putting, right? And so having the giving and generosity conversation consistent across your entire year calendar is important, and social is a way to do that where it's low-hanging fruit. It doesn't have to be done from the pulpit, and it's not overbearing, but it's something that keeps that idea as part of your spiritual discipline alive and something that's available to them throughout the year. So come up with an actual live calendar and talking about the prioritization. Should it be 10% of the voice, 20% of the voice, 50% of the voice? That's something that you really can work through in workshop format with your congregation leaders that you're working with. Ideally, take the videos and then have the pastors write a little bit about each. Personalize each one with some sort of personal story that they make the connection with the concept in the video, and then email them out. We have a couple of infographics, we have a couple of videos, as you've seen, that are appropriate for that type of conversation between pastor and congregation. I think it accomplishes two things. One, it actually has that consistency of messages for the generosity and the giving. But two, it humanizes the topic of giving. Every time that the pastor personalizes a story in his or her life about generosity and some transformative moment or an epiphany or something that they've had in terms of a life experience connected to an actual concept and fact in terms of generosity and giving, that seems to be a winning formula to educate and really have impact on the congregation. So one of the ideas that we've had really is to get people in place where you have different stations, and each station has a different laptop. Each laptop has one of the different videos. So you might pick 6 videos, and pastor leaders can go to each different station and try to figure out what personal story they can wrap around each of the videos, and then plan to send out a schedule of emails. Imagine having a generosity video that's sent out every other week, 6 videos over 12 weeks. That's a couple months of content that's meaningful, that's impactful, and that makes giving and generosity accessible to all local congregation members. But it's something that pastors don't have on their agenda right now, and it's something that you as a conference treasurer really can help them cross the finish line and getting them to actually plan the content and get it out. Is all the snacks and graphics is appropriate to publish in your newsletters and your bulletins. One of the things that we would really encourage you conference treasurers either to do yourself or empower and tell your local leaders to do for their own congregation is to actually put out surveys. giving, surveys on money, surveys on habits. Those are things that people always want to know. Whether I heard recently a church sparked a conversation about generosity and giving by having a survey on how much people tip at a restaurant, right? Christians sometimes, Christ followers have a reputation of how much they tip at a Sunday restaurant after church. Well, that trivial conversation in survey form sparked conversations about larger issues about giving and generosity, both within their families, to the church, to other nonprofits and good causes. It really helps people understand, that conversation in a much more personal fashion. So surveys is something that I think that everyone has the ability to do. It's low-hanging fruit, and you back the results and you have some conversations about that. So that's why hopefully these stats, facts, and figures is something that we encourage you to do on your newsletters and your bulletins, because again, not every church has social media, not every church has Facebook or websites. You might not be up on those channels yet, but there's other outlets. Having a survey and then even a congregational meeting, a lunch and learn after a Sunday service might be something they do in terms of to get some of this information out. Okay, the one is I think really a meaningful one. It's kind of like you're bringing someone life in terms of their own ministry and their vocation. So this workshop is to take the sermon illustrations and really let the pastors structure some sort of training for their turns, for their teachers, for small group leaders. They have teaching pastors on staff, as young adult pastors and associate pastors, they have small group leaders and interns. This is the perfect opportunity to take sermon illustrations that we have written, just them, and really help them have a discussion on what they can do about the concepts of the teaching they have there, right? So it's not just about what's preached on Sunday morning, but what is taught through all the other programs and activities that you have going on throughout the building and throughout the year. And so really empowering these other partners you have in ministry to come up with some good structured programs to put on, allows them to take ownership of it, but it also allows them to speak their voice into the generosity conversation. This is one of those topics we believe that should not just be a top-down commandment. This should be done in community, in collaboration. That's when you find the most success. And taking our sermon illustrations and using each one, so if you had a weekly staff meeting or a retreat or some type of workshop that's dedicated to this, to actually get out and really digest what's going on in each of these sermon illustrations, one a week or one a month, might be a monthly staff meeting, and taking some time to really dissect the message that's in the sermon illustration, then reconstruct as a group, how can we do that in a coordinated effort to take that core concept in that sermon illustration and teach it through programs for a given month. That tends to be something that people can rally around. People have this notion that they want to be creative and they want to contribute, but many times what they need is a common ground and a rallying point. And so when you offer them a biblically-based sermon illustration and a teaching concept, that can become a theme for your program elements that you are pushing throughout the rest of the month or the quarter, etc. So helping pastors to understand that and actually use it as an exercise. So in terms of a workshop, one of the suggestions is do that with the groups of pastors. If you have a workshop or seminar with pastors in the next couple months, take one of the sermon illustrations, let them consume it in groups, and come up with some ideas, come with a micro plan, and present it back to the group. That will spark so much creativity and brainstorming across all of the churches that you have in attendance. I promise you, it's something that everyone will see as a high point of one of your meetings. Again, when you're providing done-for-you resources where all they need to do is think creatively about how to best get their people to take it up, that is where people come alive. Doing the heavy lifting about providing these biblically researched and written pieces, and you're letting them do the exciting and the fun stuff, and quite frankly, you become the hero as the workshop leader, right? The sixth one is to look at our offering scripts. So this is a concept of offering that is new to many pastors. Quite frankly, I think it's something that is seen as innovative, and once people catch on to it, they are really excited about it. But I talked to a recent pastor, actually 2 weeks ago, who took one of our downloadable offering talks and looked at it, and he said to me, in my 20-something years of pastoring, I've never heard anyone give a micro sermonette during the offering talk. Forget about the topic of generosity. And that he's only had, it's always like an administrative announcement about what the offering. Everyone just knows what it is. It happens. Let's get it done. That type of mentality. And yet, take the time to slow down, pause, and actually breathe life into what you're doing as an act of worship on each given Sunday is something that is eye-opening, quite frankly, to many pastors that you will encounter. So what we've done in each of these offering talks, as I mentioned before, if you download one of these from the site, we produced offering talks that are about 4 to 6 minutes in length if you talk it out, so it's complete word-for-word manuscripts that you can take. We've also created abbreviated versions that you can riff off of, and we've also created bullet-pointed versions if you just want to create your own story or take some of the core elements and make it your own. So these offering scripts and offering talks really is a great way to train your church leaders, but also have them train their own internal leaders for them to start to understand why we take an offering and how we do it is just as important of just the act of, when it happens. Your staff on this new opportunity, the importance of setting up that couple of minutes right before the offering as a strategic element is something that I think could take anywhere from a micro short segment in a workshop to a half a day, frankly, that we could go through best practices, how to deliver offering talks, why we do it, what's executed before and after, as well as follow-up for offering talks. Many churches have the opportunity to seize on the chance to follow up with an email that evening that reminds people of what the pastor or the church announcer said during the offering talk, and connect it with one of the activities and outreach ministries that you are having, you're doing in the church. So it allows communications to have something meaningful to communicate instead of hype and instead of routine things. That's the sixth way of doing it. I've got another comment here. Maybe we'll get to questions right after this. I wanted to just share again, the UMC Giving website is the place that you can download all of these resources, and new resources are being added continuously. It's umcgiving.org/togetherwedomore. And you'll find all the core elements that we talked about in terms of the 6 different activities that we talked about today. All of those assets and resources that you can download there. And you can also email the Connectional Giving team at umcgiving@umcom.org. Great team is available for answering questions, get feedback, how things are happening. I think one of the big things that the team really wants to hear is success stories. How did people receive it? Are there any aha moments or epiphanies that you've witnessed when you're in these resources with your local pastors? So there again, umcgiving.org/togetherwedomore. I get a couple more minutes for questions and answers if some people want. Live chat, you can put the question and answer. So we got one question here. It says, we have a number of small churches that do not use social media or videos in worship, nor do they know how to send an email to their entire congregation. This assumes most of their congregation utilizes email, really. So a person chimed in, same here. So yes, that is a challenge for many churches across the congregation, across the ecosystem. That you have churches, there's a whole wide spectrum. There's churches that have full-blown media and video teams and production teams, and you have churches that still don't have a website, they don't have email lists, etc. I think this is one of those things where you can contextualize it for your actual church community. So it might be, something where you train local the Bible study group leaders to take the videos, you can burn them onto a CD and have them play them on their home computer or off of the website. They don't even need a CD or DVD. You can go to the website and just play it directly from there. The idea would be you would train a small, limited number of people, whether it's 3 people, 10 people, your small group leaders in that church, to be able to play it at a given time. There's a gathering, and then have some prompts. You can come up with some questions, some question prompts for the discussion to happen afterwards. That's, I think, one of the ways. Another way is if they don't actually have projection in the actual worship service. Many times during fellowship hour, I know in the church that I just visited this past Sunday, they actually have a TV down there. And so what they had is they had a looping video on a TV cart. And that's another idea that you might have happen. Again, I think the idea is to find where are people meeting in a mid or large group setting, and how do you project or utilize some of these resources for that. As I mentioned, written newsletters, printed letters to people's homes. You can print out the infographics, include an envelope, things like that. So those are the types of places, I think, hopefully some ideas of how to use these digital resources, and most of the congregation are not there yet. Any other again, my name is Kenny Jahng. Pleasure to be with you today. I really want you to come out and tell us how you are using these resources and what other resources would be helpful for us to develop further for you.
Again, we are very excited to be able to partner with UMCom and with you with all of your knowledge and expertise on this subject matter, and we thank you again for being here with us today. Again, my name is Shannon Logan. I'm the Shared Services Manager. If you have questions, please contact us at sharedservices@gcfa.org, and we would like to make sure to also give a special thank you to our sister agency, United Methodist Communications, and Elsie Cunningham, the Director of Connectional Giving, for all of their work and efforts that they have done to put this together for us. They've really tried to create many resources available in the Connection for literally just things you can take and immediately plug in at no matter what level that you serve in the Connection, to be able to utilize that for this important effort that we're trying to work through in 2017. And I think that one of the things I took from your talk today was that our theme for 2017 is connectionalism.
Yes, together we do more.
That's exactly right. So thank you very much, and we hope you each have a blessed day.